Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me again today for Helping Managers Win, along with my partner in crime here, Tom Rosenak. My name is Byron, and we're really glad you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about how we can help you help managers win. This all came from research that the Predictive Index did back in really the middle of 2023. And there was a report saying basically that middle managers are feeling the squeeze and they need our support. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into what we're going to be talking about today. Managers are crucial. We all know that. In many ways, they're like the bridge to the work that we get done. Our businesses do not work without them. You take them away, you take managers away, just like when you take bridges away, people are left stranded, work is left stranded, and it's very important. It's imperative. It's critical that we provide for them the resources and support that they need. The support needs to come from not just the outside folks like myself in consulting, coaching, and software tools like the Predictive Index. It needs to also come from the top and also from within the organization. These managers, in order for them to do their job at an optimum level, they need to have all kinds of support and different kinds of support. And the thing is, I think everyone would agree how important they are. But I think what everyone does, need to have some discussion as far as what does that support look like. But they also need resources. It's next to impossible for them to do their job without resources. And I know that companies out there that you're providing resources, you're providing plenty of resources. But I think that the idea is, what if you provided resources that help them do their job? It also helped them understand themselves better, and also you provided resources that enabled them to empower others in order to get more work done, and everyone would win. So, today we're going to be kind of taking a deeper dive in this idea of understanding behavior. And the thing I found interesting about preparing for today is that my interest in helping people win, and again, strategy is what you're using currently to win. And the idea of helping managers win, and how Tom and I at Optimax Talent want to help you help managers win. It really does come down to this idea of understanding behavior. And this is not an uncommon sight or scene. You have, people that are meeting virtually over, Microsoft Teams, Google Meets, Blue Jeans, Zoom, you name it. There's a lot of tools out there. But how do we know what drives the needs and the motivators for the folks that are showing up in our virtual meetings? And just years and years ago, I'm talking back, this is way before, in many ways, the advent of the personal computer. The personal computer was out. This is back in the mid 1980s. I remember distinctly having this little assessment that I used back in the day, and it was the 4 temperaments assessment. And I'm just sharing it on the screen now. But this goes back to when I'm working as both. I'm working as a part-time pastor, and I'm also working as an engineer in an aerospace company. And one of the things that the aerospace company asked me to do is they asked me to kind of be a connection between the design folks and the testing folks, the testing engineering, along with the design engineering. And I used this little assessment, and it was all done on paper. And I wanted people to understand which one of these 4 temperaments they were. They're either a choleric, which is considered high D, a sanguine, which is the high I, the phlegmatic, again, really weird words, huh? The high S, and the melancholy, the high C. And I don't know, I know this has been around for a long time. It's probably based upon similar research that even the Predictive Index was based upon, and also the assessment called DISC, DISC. And I'm also a certified trainer and teacher and user of DISC years and years ago. I don't use DISC anymore because I really believe the Predictive Index is a superior tool. But I wanted to show that because this goes back, for me into 1985 and on, where I was really led to when I work with people, and this is way before we're talking about, people, attending meetings virtually. Everything was face to face. Everything was, it was interpersonal. But today, and some of us are still, we're working in the office, but a lot of us aren't. A lot of us are still having virtual conversations with folks over those different meeting tools. And the question is, how do you know? I mean, all of these look like really friendly people. How do we know what is beneath the surface? How do we know what drives and needs these folks have? And my point is if you don't know them really well, and in some instances, especially since COVID, since a lot of this work from home has really been consistent, and it's sustained even after COVID, post-COVID, there are a lot of folks that have never ever met their colleagues face to face. And the thing is that what's important for us to understand is that back in the day when we would meet people face to face, we took a lot of that for granted. That understanding behavior, because behavior is the tip of the iceberg. Behavior is the stuff you see. But when you're working with someone you don't really work with, you see them occasionally on a Zoom, but you're not working day to day. You're not in meetings every single hour with folks. You're not, working side by side, collaborating. It's very different. So my question is, how do you know what drives and what needs are below the surface? And unless you're using some sort of assessment like the predictive index, and there are many out there, but unless you're using a tool like that, the answer is you don't know. And if you don't know, and if you're meeting with people, I believe as a leader, it is incumbent upon you to know not only yourself, but to know your teammates, to know kind of what makes them tick. Because if you're just assuming everyone's going to be like you, you're going to be sadly disappointed because they're not going to be like you. Some might be, but even the folks that even share your profile are going to bring differences and distinctiveness to the work and to the party, so to speak. That even like if you're both share the same reference profile, we're not reference profiles. We're human beings. We're incredibly complex, and it's important for us to understand and to accept that we need information, we need data. So the question came up this week when I was talking with a prospective client, and the question was kind of an incredulous. It's like, can we really predict behavior? And because I was walking them through their predictive index, and in their predictive index, I mean, to be fair, their predictive index was kind of squished in the middle. So the predictability of their predictive index wasn't probably as predictable as maybe mine, because my predictive index is really spread out as far as the data points. But the idea is that you absolutely can predict behavior, and once you understand the behavioral science, that really it's the drives that create needs, and behaviors are a response to the need. So when you see the tip of the iceberg, when you see the behavior, and you could say a behavior like, let's say, dominance, like someone who wants to exert influence over themselves or others or situations, that behavior you can see, that is absolutely an expression. It's an outward expression, something you can see that is a need. They have a need for that independence, or they have a need for autonomy. They have a need for individuality. And there's a drive that pushes them and pushes. And for me personally, I own that. I have that. I understand that. And that also means that in many situations when my drive isn't necessary, I need to be aware of that and put that drive, the drive for autonomy, the drive for freedom on the back shelf. And I do that on purpose, because in some situations that drive for autonomy, that drive for independence isn't appropriate. So drives create needs. Behaviors are a response to the need. So the answer to the question, and we had a really great conversation with this person, you absolutely can predict behavior. And the idea of embracing diversity. Our workplaces are very diverse, and they need to be. We need to have people from all walks of life, because people are different. And that is absolutely a good thing. That's a great thing. And but there are patterns. There are those 17 reference profiles. And again, when you go to the Predictive Index website, you can see. I mean, this is predictiveindex.com. You go to products, and then you come over here, and then you just simply open up reference profiles. So the idea of embracing diversity, absolutely, we are all very, very different. But there are 17 reference profiles that create this behavioral map of everyone. And there are analytical profiles, which we have already talked about. There are persistent profiles. There are social profiles, and there are stabilizing profiles. So the idea that there are all of these types and kinds of people, it again, I believe, and the way I think, and the kinds of values I have, I believe it's the leader's responsibility to understand themselves. For example, which reference profile that they're bringing to the party, which one are they, and then which one are their teams. So it's really important. I believe you want to understand every single person's reference profile and go as deep as you can, because there is no bad news here, guys. When you embrace diversity, and and also in my work as a coach, and the coaching I do with Big Why, when people find their big why, the people start to emerge, and they start to express their uniqueness, and it is an individuality. It's as unique as like a fingerprint. But the idea is this idea of embracing diversity. It all starts with understanding. So if you don't have a tool like the Predictive Index, to me, it just doesn't make sense. That's a lot of our work is with and through people. So why would you go through work? Why would you allow your teams? Why would you have your company not have a tool like that? When in many ways, if you're having a meeting like this, the meeting that's literally on the screen right now, if you don't have that data, in many ways, you're flying blind. Even though they could be talking about finance, they could be talking about financing, they could be talking about construction, they could be talking about, an ad creative. It doesn't matter, because the chunk of the work that we're doing, there is this tension, this reality that there's work that needs to be done 100%. And that's true. But the idea of understanding and embracing diversity and understanding ourselves and understanding our colleagues, that will actually help us get the work done better. It'll help us get the work done smoother, and it'll help us work better together. And that's how we, Tom and I, at Optimax Talent, how we believe we can help managers win, is by embracing diversity. So the idea of using an assessment, to us, it's just, this is like a no-brainer. This is something you want to do. So, and it all starts with understanding yourself, because when you do understand yourself within the context, again, going back again, just showing you this really quickly, these 17 reference profiles, you understand that you're an adapter, You have a tremendous amount of freedom, of flexibility, agility, and alacrity in order to understand how to get things done. But when you do that, you improve your own self-awareness. It gives you greater self-control. It enhances your emotional intelligence. It makes you a better communicator. It makes you a better collaborator. It makes you a better teammate. It makes you a better human being. When we understand ourselves, and I'm not at all talking about, because years ago I had someone, because along with my interest in things like this type temperament stuff, and this has been kind of a signature of understanding myself and understanding others, has been kind of a signature of my style of leadership my entire career. And there was one colleague one time, she asked me, well, don't you think that's navel gazing? And I knew what she was trying to say. And the answer is no, this is not navel gazing. This is just simply, this is getting to building a foundation upon where we can communicate, work, and live, and get things done in a way that's harmonious and beneficial to everyone. And it's basically this idea of understanding. You understand yourself, then you understand others. But it absolutely improves all aspects and facets of your life. So this isn't just about work. This is about life. This is about when you understand yourself, obviously your work will improve, but so will your home life improve. So as you can probably tell this is something that it matters to me, because it's not just a little deal. So the idea is that you start with understanding yourself, then you move out from there to understand others. You don't start with others. You don't start with with these free assessments online and have everyone on your team take one of these assessments. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, take the assessment, the Harry Potter assessment, to find out which house you're in. Take the assessments to find out, which, fill in the blank you are. Are you an otter? Are you a golden retriever? Look, if you do that and you have all your team doing that, and you're trying to create like some sort of workshop, and I have literally met dozens of people who've done that. There is a point where you kind of reach the so what saturation point. It's like, okay, so what now? Now what do you have? And in a lot of instances, you have some greater understanding and maybe camaraderie. But the whole point is that when you understand yourself and then you understand others, it's similar to the concept of when you fly. The flight attendant will always give that safety instruction of if in the case where our cabin depressurizes, an oxygen mask will descend in front of your face. Please place the oxygen mask on yourself before you assist other people. So if you have ever taken a bunch of those free assessments and you've said, here, I want you to take all that, I have all your team take it, but for some reason you didn't take it, that is exactly the opposite of what I'm talking about. You understand yourself, then you understand others, because it's all about showing compassion, empathy, and understanding. Because understanding isn't about getting people to agree with you. It's not about manipulating them so that that you want to pigeonhole them, that they're an otter and then otters behave a certain way. No, go a little deeper, because this is about understanding and having compassion and understanding and another person's perspective and perception. Because you have a perception, they have a perspective. So this is absolutely effective for helping you with, having those important conversations on your team, sometimes critical conversations. It's going to be helpful for conflict resolution. It's also going to build and give you the capacity and a greater ability to have deeper, stronger relationships. So like I said earlier, there is no bad news. So how can we work better together? So this is one of the teammates that I showed last week, Brendan Schmidt. And this is a real data, but it's a fictitious person. He is what's called a guardian. And then we have Tom, who obviously has a very, very different profile. Tom I think he's a promoter. So when you look at Brendan's thorough, detailed oriented, meticulous, reliable. He hates mistakes. He can be reserved, but may resist quick changes and prefers clear structure and planning. Whereas Tom is outgoing, persuasive, team player, fast-paced. He doesn't plan. He may prioritize relationships over tasks and can be detailed-oriented at times, might get impatient with slower approaches. So you can see the question is, how can we work better together? So it's all about Brendan understanding himself, same for Tom, and then about them understanding each other. So if Tom is the boss and Brendan is a direct report, this relationship is going to work better if it's vice versa. If Brendan's the boss and Tom is the direct report, especially if there's work for Tom to do that is detailed oriented and requires some other aspects that Tom's not going to be able to have the ability to do, it's going to be really, really hard. But for this story we're going to try to create, let's just say Brendan is the direct report and Tom is the boss. So when we look at this, we're going to see that their communication style is very different. Brendan appreciates clear instructions and expectations. They just want to be clear, because for him, and I think this is true for all communication, clear is kind. When we're clear, we're actually showing kindness to other people. So we try to be as clear as we possibly can. And for Brendan, he truly appreciates that. Tom should be the one to explain the big picture as far as the where we're going, the vision, not necessarily the details, but the big picture. So their communication style is very different. So, and where that comes from that letter B. And as you can see, Tom's letter B is all the way over here to the right next to this word sociable. And Brendan's letter B is just to the left of this black triangle, which is right in the middle. And what that means is that this is measuring whether someone is either sociable to reserved. Obviously, Brendan's he's not very reserved, he's moderately reserved. Whereas Tom is extremely sociable. And when you have differences like that, and this is again, whenever you see that spread where the data points are the farthest away from the black triangle, that means this is very predictable, and this is extremely predictable. This is moderately predictable when it's inside. I could zoom in here. What that is, that's actually a sigma. It's going to get pixelized a little bit because of just the resolution. And what that, if you remember in your statistics class, that's your standard deviation. So most of the population is actually in between minus 1 sigma and plus 1 sigma. As you can see, Tom has 2 data points there, and so does Brendan, 2 data points that are within the range of norm when it comes to the folks that have taken the predictive index. But their communication styles are different. So the way that they adjust in their communication styles is going to be vastly different. So there needs to be some understanding. And again, it's the individual's responsibility to understand themselves, and then to take the initiative to understand the other. Leverage their strengths. So the strengths for Brendan, he has an attention to detail, and he has flawless execution. Where Tom has enthusiasm, and he wants to be very much a champion of projects. So we need to leverage those strengths. We don't want to. I think what Jesus said, you don't hide a light under a bushel. You don't want to cover your strengths. You want them to shine brightly so everyone can see. So for Tom, it's going to be about being an enthusiastic champion of projects. With Brendan, it's his flawless execution and attention to detail, which is, you put him in roles where he's able to express those drives and needs to have behavior. Now you've got something powerful. Now they're respecting styles. Brendan needs a structured approach. So when you're going to work with him, there needs to be some sort of structured approach, where Tom needs more flexibility and more freedom there. And that really is looking at the data point for this D for precision versus flexibility. And I could go into this a little more detail, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to try to continue on here and try to finish this. So their feedback needs, how they want to have feedback. Brendan needs constructive feedback that's done in private, especially if it's at all critical. So if you're going to criticize him, you can do that, but please do that in private, and please do that with respect. You do not want to disrespect Brendan. You don't want to disrespect anyone, but you don't want to respect a guardian, because they really believe that they're guarding something very important. Now with Tom needs positive and encouraging feedback, and he needs feedback often to let him know that he's going on the right path, he's doing the right thing, because Tom knows he brings a lot of energy, a lot of social energy to the party. So he needs to know that that's okay. So you need to give him that positive feedback, smile, thumbs up, whatever, that he's good, especially where Tom's going to thrive very much up front. Teaching, coaching, presenting, and giving him that positive feedback will be very encouraging to him. How they delegate needs. Brendan needs to have trust in those he delegates to. He really doesn't like mistakes. So if he's going to delegate to someone, that person has to show a significant level of competency. Otherwise, he's going to have some anxiety over whether or not he passes something on to someone. And if there are mistakes, especially early on, wouldn't be surprised if Brendan takes that project right back. So it's really important, because someone with that level of precision, that level of formality, that's what that D is called, that D data point. They absolutely hate mistakes. Now, Tom Tom needs to be able to delegate the detailed tasks to someone else because he's not detailed. That's why it would be tough if this were switched and Brendan was the leader and Tom was the the associate. Because oftentimes earlier in a career, we have to do detailed work. And if you happen to be someone that has lower D and you're in an earlier career and you're having to do all this detailed work, that just simply might be a part of your job. But just understand that hopefully that's only for a time, because you really long term that wouldn't be a great situation to be in. So how can we work better together? This is the competing values framework that we talked about last week, and those quadrants of innovation and agility, teamwork and employee experience, process and precision, results and discipline. Tom is obviously in the upper right-hand quadrant in innovation and agility, and Brendan is in the process and precision quadrant down here in the lower left quadrant, as you can see that. So when you look at this, Tom is, he needs to focus on pursuing new innovations, be open to risk, prefers to act quickly, communicate by talking things through. They make decisions independently without waiting for consensus. They resolve conflicts by focusing on the people involved. Then with Brendan, they focus on the process and predictability. They're very well organized and efficient. They prefer analytical decision-making. They communicate concisely after thorough reflection on their own. You've got to give them space for that. They make decisions collaboratively, seeking input from each team member, and they resolve conflict by focusing on the task. So you can see they're very different, but we need this. We need this diversity in order to have great teams. So we believe that your people are unique and that they do most of their work in teams, and the work that they do or not impacts business results. So creating and executing a clear and effective people strategy can be the difference maker in your company's profitability. In short, we believe you want to optimize your talent. So we encourage you to go to optimaxtalent.com, and I just so happen to have that up. There's a pop-up. Go to optimaxtalent.com. You can scroll down. Excuse me. And you can take the predictive index. You simply click on that. That'll take you to a page where you fill out some information. You take the assessment in the language you want to. Look at this. Look how many languages there are. Isn't that crazy? And it's really, really fast, guys. It's a very fast, wonderful experience in order to take the PI. So I just encourage you to do that. And as you just know, we believe that. And we also want you to schedule a strategy call after you have taken the assessment. So we just encourage you to do that. And we appreciate you taking the time today to kind of sit with us as we go through just a deeper dive into the behavioral side of things, because people are different, and that's a really, really good thing. But if you're currently in your company or in your companies or wherever you're working, they aren't using this kind of people data, I believe there's an opportunity here. So just reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation and have you take the predictive index at no cost. We'll walk you through results at no cost. And we'd even be open to having your team, having, let's say, up to 10 people take the assessment, and we can put you in a team just like we did, like I showed last week. But anyway, you have a great rest of your day, and enjoy and have a wonderful weekend, because spring is here. Spring has sprung, and hopefully everyone is doing well. And we'll see you next Thursday for another episode of Helping Managers Win, because Tom and I want to help you help managers win. You take care. Bye.